The federal government has set a budget for Canada Day programming in the nation's capital this year, but is refusing to say what it is. The budget for Canada Day celebrations in Ottawa and across the river in Gatineau, Quebec, typically ranges in the millions of dollars and pays for things like firework displays, performances, and national broadcasts. A spokesperson for Heritage Canada said in a statement that while there is a budget for the events, the department won't provide the number until after the celebrations are over. I'm now joined in studio by political commentator Ashley Waters to break down the federal government's decision not to disclose the Canada Day celebration budget. Ashley, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Canada Day is a moment of national pride. Why would the federal government choose to not share the budget for the celebrations ahead of time?
I think this government is really making its own mark and showing that just because the expectation might have been there previously doesn't mean that it's a hard and fast rule. And especially with the mentality, I think, of Prime Minister Carney is more of like that CEO-led, don't question the process, kind of just watch the results. And in this situation, when it comes to the Canada Day celebration, I think they don't want to necessarily limit what they can do and what they can't do at this point in time.
So for many, these events make Canadians feel connected to the country. It brings a lot of people together. Does keeping the budget secret risk undermining that sense of that shared celebration that this event usually brings in?
I don't think so. I think if they canceled the event altogether, it would. But the fact that they're still hosting it, they want a sense of community. They want a sense of, sovereignty and that pride in the flag. And I think this year will really set that apart by seeing the numbers because they're expected it to be double, what they have in the past, just because of that celebration showing that Canadian pride.
And do we have a sense of the pride and participation that Ottawa usually gets from this event?
Yeah, I think it's been a mix, especially during, coming out of COVID. There wasn't as many people that were coming to the capital. Now I think that we're seeing, more interprovincial trade barriers eliminated, more people wanting to travel within Canada, showing that they're spending dollars here instead of going to the States. I think the expectation is it will be like the highest numbers that they've seen thus far.
Well, and we've talked a lot about national unity. There's the fireworks, the concepts, the flags, everything's a symbol of national identity. So how important is it to know what we're investing in?
That one's tricky because other years past, they were scrutinized, right, when it came to the fireworks or different things if it's frivolous, right? But if you're taking away these kind of celebrations, it doesn't really give people that opportunity to maybe visit the capital, maybe participate, first-time Canadians, other things like that, if we take the pride now and have the concerts and show that community, it really gives us that opportunity as Canadians to show, we can put on big shows too, just like the States can or any other country. And so this opportunity that they're giving people to come back bigger, louder, stronger than ever, I think it will show that the costs don't really determine that. It will show the fact that they're putting the means into it in the first place.
And have we seen these examples in the past where open communication about the budget actually boosted public support or engagement with these kinds of events?
I don't think so because unless you're fundraising, unless it's like a nonprofit, I don't think people care as much when it comes to the dollars. Yes, it's tax dollars, and yes, it might seem frivolous, but in this instance, it really is just bringing more people to the capital, showing that Canada Day is something to celebrate, and especially this year when we're really up against our sovereignty and these tariffs.
Well, on that, with the conversation of that elbows up, Canada strong, Canada united, is there a concern that this move might fuel doubt, especially during a time where Canadians are watching the government and government spending a little bit more closely?
I think it's one of those events that they're giving back to the community. I think if it was more frivolous or they're talking about, spending money in other means or other countries or different aid or the cost of airplanes, those kind of things, I think you can nitpick more. But because it's a Canadian event that we're hosting and that we're doing, I kind of see the idea of putting in after the fact, just so that way people see first what the event is, have a great event, put it on, and then show after the fact, the cost, the breakdown of what kind of happened after the fact.
And you mentioned that Mark Carney is the type of prime minister that has more of that CEO approach, where it's more trust the process. I'm going to lay it out and you don't have to see everything, but it's going to work out and just trust me. So what's the message when the government won't disclose what they're spending in people's names, and it's more so just trust me and it will work out?
Right. And this goes along with negotiations right now too. And I think that a lot of people are seeing the stark contrast, right? A Liberal government isn't the Liberal government that you saw with Justin Trudeau. It isn't taking the time to really explain or have that time where you're consulting with everyone at the same time. It's more or less showing what this plan is, not letting it be tied up with red tape and going forward. And so, of course, there's going to be a mix of emotions and whether or not people think that's transparent enough or whether it even warrants it. But at the same time, he is pushing ahead and things are happening a lot faster. Whether that's good or bad, time will only tell.
Well, Ashley, thank you for the time and happy Canada Day.
Thank you. Happy Canada Day to you as well.